Greetings and welcome. Um, this is a video to disclose how the Japanese government is keeping their numbers low and how they're lying to the world with regards to the actual cases that are here in Japan. Okay, this is direct from a physician, a well-known physician here in Japan, and involving a senior executive of a establishment based in California, actually an establishment here in Japan from California that's well known. So confidentiality of these two people will need to be kept until we get to a point where we make contact with the proper entities and they're more than willing to come forward and talk about this openly. Okay. Um, in any matter, my friend, the senior executive, had a contact with a person who was visiting Europe at the time of the coronavirus outburst. Okay, um, the my friend then said that he began to display symptoms of the coronavirus. Okay, which he thought. He reached out to his doctor, and his doctor, despite his adamant request to go be tested for this virus because he wants to be ahead of the curve on this. His doctor disclosed to him why he would not be tested for the virus. Okay, and this is a part of that email that was sent to my friend, disclosing the reasons why. Okay, please keep in mind that this is the doctor's second language. Okay, um, just to keep that in mind. Okay, we go forward. Quote, there is one thing we would like you to keep in mind. Unlike other countries, it is very difficult to be taken a test for COVID-19 in Japan. Actually, we requested to perform the test for our patients to a public health center for several times. However, they refused for all the cases we asked. They say that they take a priority into account. According to them, for example, only ones who had a close contact with a patient diagnosed with COVID-19 or ones who visited the four live music clubs, which are regarded as cluster, are accepted to have a test. End quote. Okay, so what that means and how, is that uh, there's clinics located all over most cities in Japan. They're quite easily and readable to get to. Okay, so Japan's image to the world is that they have all of their clinics and medical facilities fully staffed with tests and proper equipment and machinery to address this uh, coronavirus issue. Okay, what would actually happen is that if you, upon making contact with the clinic, okay, they would then refer you to a government controlled clinic, okay, for the proper test, for the coronavirus test, uh, by which they will ask you, um, number one, were you on the cruise ship? Number two, were you at a live house? Or number three, were you in contact with anyone who has been confirmed a carrier of the coronavirus already? If you answer negative to all three of those questions, you will then be excluded from the classification of having the virus or the coronavirus. Uh, and anything dealing with your ailment will not be registered. Okay, even though you might very well have the virus. Okay, um, I'm speechless at that. In any matter, fast forward, okay, to the Olympic Games. That by the time the Olympic Games come, underneath that mechanism that the Japanese government is applying in screening, thousands of cases can be present invisible, invisibly, and off the radar, completely off the radar. Okay, thousands of cases could be very well present. Now you have millions of visitors coming to Japan as a result of the 2020 Olympics. Okay, and intermingling with these contaminated persons. Then only to not only contaminate themselves, but then recontaminate their countries when they return. Um, we hope that you see the dire urgency there. That Japan is willing to sacrifice humanity and risk recontaminating the world for their own personal greed to have the 2020 Olympics go through as scheduled. Shouldn't humanity take the precedence of this and the safety of humanity? Um, God forbid if the virus mutates and becomes a more lethal, dangerous, and deadly strand. Um, in any matter, as disclosed, the doctor, the senior executive, they're very adamant about getting this out and are willing to talk with any and all entities about this. But because of the structuring of Japan and the entities that they're tied to, they can't initiate this themselves. Okay, so I'm helping them. I myself, I'm an economist for the state of California International Trade Specialist. I've been here for 18 years, working on behalf of California industries. Okay, um, we can be contacted directly uh, through email at globalmatters415 at gmail.com. We hope that you would pass this on to your media sources in your area so that we can begin opening up the dialogue about this and get this out because a decision has been made, a horrible decision has been made to go forward with the 2020 Olympics. And Japan is not acting ethically or morally or with any concern for the international community. I take this as an extreme arrogance of Japan that how could they completely disregard uh, the safety of the international community and how the coronavirus is so easily spread. Already countries are taxed and reeling from this bout. And Japan is arrogantly placing the world on a second crash course for a second bout with this virus without any measures to try to accurately deal with this virus. Um, what about postponing the Olympic Games for a year? You know, until this issue blows over, then Japan can have the Olympic Games at that time. Okay, um, there's got to be a solution, but to have the Olympic Games now, right now, when Japan is applying these covert measures to lie about their numbers so that the rest of the world doesn't get an accurate depiction of what's going on here. That's absurd. It's absolutely absurd, and I'm so thankful that the doctor and the senior executive are willing to go forward and uh, do their part in this to try to bring this out in front of the world because this needs to be addressed. And I think a lot of uh, misinformation has been disclosed in regards to kind of justifying why the Japanese numbers are low. I've heard and seen videos where people are saying, well, the Japanese are they're very clean. You know, this is highlighting Japan's optimism, idealism. No, we're dealing with very highly populated regions of Japan, Tokyo, Osaka, Nagoya. These are very highly populated regions. The virus is passable regardless. If anything, very easily to transmit on subways, okay? That the person can, uh, who's contaminated might rub their nose and touch the ring of a handhold ring on the train, and a child can then touch the ring too after that person, recontaminate themselves. There you go. This virus is running rampant, probably in Japan, but is completely off the radar, um, because of the screening mechanism that the Japanese government has put in place, where they're not even recognizing your symptoms or as a associated with the COVID virus. That you're completely said, oh no, well, whatever you have is separate from the COVID virus. So, in any matter, thank you so much for your time and listening and watching this video. Please help us get this to the appropriate people so that we can head this off from a horrible, horrible outcome that will probably be probable if the 2020 Olympics do go off as scheduled in a couple of months, because Japan by that time will be fully um, contaminated, and by which we're trying desperately to head that off. Okay? Thank you so much, and have a good day.